Hey, what's up, everybody? Chad here, and I have a very special guest for this Elevate Your Life session, our EYL session. She's even repping her Elevate Your Life shirt. All right. My dear friend and awesome woman of God, but also, guys, she's a therapist for working with mainly adolescents, right? You work a lot with young people, and you do this for a living. So you guys watch Dr. Caroline's Elevate Your Life session with me, and I know our craniums were just like ripped off. That was amazing. So Brittany's going to help us. This is Brittany Phillips. I want you guys to give it up for her. She's our guest, and she's going to help us kind of chop this all up into bite-sized pieces and allow us to kind of figure out how to make this work. So Brittany, I know after the Dr. Caroline session, the young people are probably like, whoa, that was amazing. Yes. But how do I really, and she gave a lot of practical stuff, but it's so much information, and these are such massive topics. Mm-hmm. And, young people are dealing with so many different things these days. You know that better than anybody, because you're working day in and day out with young people, working through their problems and helping them process through their trials and traumas and all that. And so, help us chop this up and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you, PC. First of all, I am so honored to be a part of Elevate once again as a speaker. Last time I was there as a participant, so I'm so excited for having this opportunity. And you're right, thank you. Dr. Caroline Leaf gave us so much information, like you said. It's a lot for me as an adult and a therapist to be like, whoa. Right. I love neuroscience, and she's just so amazing. But like you mentioned, our youth all of us, but especially our youth, have been through so many things these past couple of months. And so I just acknowledge that. We know, guys, we hear you, we see you, we understand a lot of what you are going through. Yeah. Although through our teen years, we didn't experience going through a pandemic. I can't imagine how tough it is for you. But we want to on today, what are some practical things that you can do to manage some of these stressors, the stressors of not being in school, being abruptly taken out, not being connected to your friends, your extracurricular activities. And I know actually some of our youth have lost family members and loved ones to this virus. Wow. Yeah, on top of that, then we add this civil unrest that's happening. Some of our loved ones and youth have experienced police brutality and racial injustice. And so we acknowledge that. But what do we do in the middle of all of that? How do we keep our thoughts positive? It's not a ABC answer. It's not like a specific formula you got to follow. Everyone is going to be a little bit different. But I want to share a couple of tools with you, and I'm actually going to share my screen with you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, Chad, you asked me what one thing that I do. Before I share the screen, I work at a school district here in Georgia. It's the second largest school district in all of Georgia, and I run a program called Sources of Strength. And it's a suicide prevention program, but it's also just a wellness program. So we focus on what are stressors for our teens, our youth, but then we also focus on what are protective factors. And what I mean by that are what are the things that we can put in place to surround ourselves and protect us from when stressors happen. If we don't have any barriers or protection, we're going to definitely get all the way down and feel it. Yeah, but what are things that we can practically do to kind of build up those protective factors? So that's what I'm about to show you.
Amazing. Guys. Yeah. Let's check it out.
Let's see, all this new technology I'm learning myself.
Yeah. It's amazing though, because young people suicide rates are at an all-time high, right?
Absolutely. Suicide, depression, anxiety. And it all goes back to what Dr. Caroline Leaf said, noticing our thoughts, being aware of our thoughts. And when we notice that we have a thought that is not helpful, what can we actually do with that thought to turn it into a positive thought? So now you're looking at what we call our wheel of strength. That's our Sources of Strength wheel. And there's 8 different strengths on here. And so we're going to kind of talk through a couple of them real quick and give you some practical examples and let you guys know that you don't have to be 100% in all of these all the time. I don't think nobody's 100% all the time. We're always working on some of these different areas. So some of our protective factors are family support. And Pastor Chad, I think you know that that is a really huge protective factor, family support. And I kind of want to acknowledge that family looks different for all of our youth and all of our kids. Some kids have biological family that are really supportive, and some kids, their biological family may not be in their life. But who is your family of choice? Who do you consider family? Who do you call on when you're in need? So family support's a big one. Positive friends. I think that's what this community is all about. You are building positive connections with like-minded youth. People that are after God, that love to have fun. You are building a great community of people with positive friends.
Powerful.
Mentors. Who are your mentors? Who are some people that you can call on when you need help? Who are the leaders within this Elevate camp? I know that there are leaders that kind of have grown up through here, and now they have become mentors to this younger generation. I want you guys to make sure you tap into those mentors and to those leaders. I know we can't physically connect right now, but what are some things that you can do? And I know you can either pick up the phone and call, you can FaceTime, you can do Zooms like we're doing right now, but making sure you're connecting with mentors. So we have family support, positive friends, and mentors. Those are things that are more relational that we can kind of tap into with each other. But look at some things that maybe you do on your own. So healthy activities. Pastor Chad, what are some of your healthy activities?
Well, I get frustrated a lot. So whether it's, I mean, even with this camp, pulling it off, it's a ton of work. It's amazing. We're so excited to do it, but it's a lot of pressure. We have so many moving parts. We have, hundreds of different pieces and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to raise and things like that. So when I get stressed out, of course, for me, I'm active, so I like to go to the gym, or I like to get out and ride my bike, or I have to get out. I have to do something. So for me, definitely the gym is a healthy activity.
Yeah, I totally agree. Getting active is so important. Without going into too much science like Dr. Leaf did, I think she covered that for us, but that helps build our oxytocin and our dopamine and those good hormones that kind of boost our energy. Healthy activities like physical activity. Then you said getting out. I think nature is another one.
Yeah, take a walk, take a hike.
Nature walks, there you go. Taking hikes, swimming, whatever activities you can get where you're actually outside in the sun getting some vitamin D, those are healthy activities.
So Brittany, would you say, because I know video games are like a massive thing for these kids and an escape. What's your thoughts on that? Does that fall into healthy activity, or?
I think it can, and it's with anything is within moderation. There can become a point where any of these coping skills, you can be dependent on it, and it turns into not an unhealthy coping skill. So if you're playing video games to like escape completely and not face what's in front of you, then that's an unhealthy coping skill. But if you're using it, within moderation, jumping off for an hour here and an hour there to kind of, free your mind, not think about anything, that's totally a healthy activity. I think you just have to monitor yourself and know, is this consuming too much of my life and too much of my time? I think if it is, then that's when we want to consider it. Maybe it's not a healthy activity. It can be done with exercise. You can exercise too much and it's unhealthy for you,
Yeah.
Some other ones that I think people don't really think about when they think about healthy activities are look at your creative arts. I know that Elevate is full of creativity. Music is a healthy activity, either listening to music, playing music. Cooking is a healthy activity.
Yeah.
It's a healthy activity. Let me think, yoga, meditation, all of these things, they all kind of fit into that category. So sometimes I ask kids like, hey, what are your coping skills? What are your healthy activities? They're like, I don't have none. And then when I ask them what they like to do, they're like, oh, I love to watch movies or go make a video blog, make YouTube videos. That's a healthy activity. You guys have these skills. I think we just identify it and name it as, hey, I am doing something for myself, for my own mental health.
Yeah. I love what you brought up there, Brittany, because with creativity, because we're made in the image of God. And so if he's a creator, he made all this. Like, you walk out in nature and it's like he painted this amazing picture. And so for us to tap into our creative nature is so powerful. So anything that causes you to create, even if it's like something you don't have to share with somebody else, but it's just you creating a poem or an like you said, a picture, and you just stick it on your wall, or you just put it in your notepad. Anything that's a creative expression of your internal feelings and whatnot is powerful. I love that.
And I'll be transparent. I always, growing up, I would always say that I'm not a creative person because I didn't like to draw and do art. I hated art class. And so I developed this negative belief about myself that I'm not creative. And I would always say, anytime we would engage in something that included creativity, I would say, oh, I'm not creative. I'm not going to do that. And so then, like Dr. Leaf said, I'm creating these, creating brain damage and having that dead tree-like thing that is creating in my brain because I'm saying I'm not creative, I'm not creative, I'm not creative.
Right.
So then what do I produce? Nothing that's creative. And I stifle myself. And it's almost like a slap in the face to God. If he is creative and we're making his image, then I do have creativity.
Yeah.
So what I've started saying, and now I am 36, and I just started this year saying, I am creative. I make it a daily affirmation. I am creative. And I started a journal. I wish I would have brought it over for you guys to see, but I started a journal, and this journal is specifically for me to draw the thing that I hated doing as a kid, the thing that I felt like I was ever good at. So even if it's just a doodle or an abstract, whatever, I make sure I sit down every day in my meditation time and I just get some colored pencils and I draw. And I make a little affirmation on there. I am creative. I am creative. I'll probably never be a great drawer, but I want to change that negative pattern that I have created because I want my brain to look like Dr. Leaf.
I love it.
I just saw I had a plant in there. So that's what I'm working on right now.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Brittany.
Yeah. So let's move around the circle a little bit more. Generosity. This is something that you guys are well aware of and that you guys engage in. I know Elevate engages in this as an organization, as being generous, doing outreach activities. But what are some ways that you can engage in generosity? Because that is something that boosts your mood and lifts you up when you're feeling down. When you do something kind for somebody else, usually you walk away feeling so good afterwards. I think the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. And actually, it shows when we do that. So what are some ways that you can be generous? You may not have actual money to give to someone, but we can be generous with our time and with our activity, with our words. How are you being generous? I want you guys to explore that. You can screenshot this picture. I want you to, even in your own time, write down these different areas and say, okay, this week I'm going to work on generosity. And maybe next week I'm going to work on connecting with positive friends. So you guys can use this wheel throughout the rest of this year.
Awesome.
Spirituality, that's what this whole conference is about. Blending our practical with our spiritual. So I'll let Pastor Chad, what would you say about spirituality? How is that a protective factor for us?
Wow. Yeah. So I think, Brittany, spirituality for us is, probably in this piece, it's the most important, in terms of anything that we have. If there's anything we would choose to ignore, don't let it be your spirituality, because we were made to engage with God. We were made to have relationship with him, and he knows every feeling that we have. He's the Bible calls him a wonderful counselor. So it's like, you know what I mean? I think that's so cool. So I think spirituality, for me, not growing up in church, I was just taught that we're supposed to have a relationship with God when I got saved. And just, for me, spirituality is so simple. It's just like always telling God and always being connected to God in every practical way. Like, everything, God. You know how I feel. You know how I'm thinking. You know my problem. And just constantly running that by him, to get his perspective on everything in my life. And so just staying connected to God is and being mindful of the fact that we are spirit first, because that's the eternal part of us.
I love it. I love it. Staying connected to God. I love that. The way you simply put that. What spirituality? Staying connected to God.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now let's look at medical access. How is medical access a protective factor? When we think about medical access, I kind of look at it in a holistic way. So not just do you go to your doctor and get your regular checkups and your physical, but are you drinking enough water throughout the day? Like, are you making sure you get enough nutrition? Are you eating enough? Are you eating fruits and vegetables to nourish your actual body? Thank you, Pastor Jab, for taking it. Getting his medical access right now. So are you doing those things? Are you getting enough sleep at night? Y'all don't sleep. Y'all kids don't sleep. What's up with that? Tell me about that. Why don't y'all sleep? Y'all need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Sleep actually helps. Yeah, it helps us strip our mind away from the day. What happens when we go to sleep? What happens in our brain is it kind of starts to discard the information that we don't need. Have you ever been really mad about something one day, Pastor Chad? Like you were just fired up, like pissed off. Can I say that?
Yeah, that's okay. We're keeping it real. We're keeping it real in Elevate Your Life session.
You were just extremely mad, and then you end up either taking a nap or going to bed, and the next day when you wake up, it doesn't bother you as much as anymore. You're like, why was I so mad about that yesterday? That didn't even make sense. Because what happens in sleep is our brain literally holds on to the information that it deems is important, and it discards everything else that it doesn't need, so we can reset for the next day. So that's why sleep is important. So if we're not getting enough sleep, sometimes we're holding on to things that we don't need to. Our body starts to hold on to it, and we are creating what Dr. Lee said, creating that brain damage in our head. We're not discarding those negative thoughts. So sleep is very, very important.
Yeah.
I lump that in there with medical access.
Yeah. So hot Cheetos and Takis. Cheetos and Takis don't count as healthy.
No. Moderation. Enjoy yourself. Have a hot Taki, but that shouldn't be like your daily breakfast.
A hot Cheeto, not a hot Taki. I guess they do have hot Takis, huh?
Do they have? I think they have hot Takis, right?
Yeah, they're hot. I can't handle them. Yeah, it makes sense. That's good. That's super practical for us.
Yeah, you got to do that. And then so finally, let's look at mental health. And I won't spend too much time because I think you did a great job at summing this up. But if I break it down, I usually break down mental health into 3 categories for my team. So I look at, usually we kind of skew to one of these 3 emotions. And of course, there's a lot more, but we either are more anxious, prone to be more anxiety prone, or we go towards depression, or we go towards anger. I know for me, I'll lean more towards anxiety. When my stress gets high, I lean more towards my just racing thoughts and, thinking about all the what ifs and what if with that and thinking about all these negative reactions. That's what I go to. And for some people, their go-to is just to get really sad, just get kind of down and depressed, not want to talk to anybody, not want to text back, not want to engage, just kind of want to sleep the day away. And then some people's go-to is anger. You just get ticked off. See, I used tick this time.
Yeah.
You just get really upset and you just get fired up. And so just knowing yourself and knowing what your go-to emotion is, and maybe you get a mixture of all 3 and that's okay. But when you notice that and when you feel that coming on, like Dr. Leaf said, these things are just, they're cues to something that's happening. So we don't need to be alarmed when we're feeling depressed. And say, oh my God, I have a mental illness. But that's a cue for us to say, hey, what thought is behind that? What negative thinking am I having that's going on that's causing me to feel this heavy depression? And then so what are some of these other things on this wheel that I can do? What's a healthy activity that I can engage in to help down? Or how can I use spirituality to lift me up? Maybe I'm feeling depressed.
Right.
A certain go-to scripture that really helps me, or a worship song that really calms my spirit and makes me know that everything is going to be okay. Or maybe I just watch one of Pastor Chad's old sermons that you pull up to really encourage you. So noticing what emotion you go to, and then coming back to this wheel and saying, okay, what can I practically do to help me through this moment? Just because we experience anxiety or experience depression doesn't mean we have a lack of faith. It doesn't mean that God's not with us. It means that we're human. And we're living in a life where things happen. So what are some of these things that we can do to help us move through this moment?
Yeah. Wow. That's so good. That's a good pie right there, Brittany.
Yeah. Y'all take a screenshot and take it down.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. No, it's so practical. I love that because, you know, with the stressors and with all that these young people are facing, I mean, it's definitely more than I certainly at 43, I had to deal with. I mean, we didn't have phones and access to everything right there, you know, all the time, you know, and it was just like, you know, we'd go hang out or we'd go play ball or what, like we didn't have the options, you know, that all these options that young people have today. And I think the pressures that come with it, you know, the social media pressures to perform and look great and have this beautiful life that everybody is envious of and whatnot. And so, you know, a lot of those things are adding to our mental, the lack of our mental health, right? Or the, you know, decline of our mental health. And so if we can help through this session, help you guys become more aware of how you're feeling and the things that are making you feel the way you feel, and helping you just make positive choices through that. Like Brittany was saying, you guys will be able to get you this wheel. Of course, like I said, like Brittany said, you can take a screenshot of it and it's yours. But I would post that up on your wall, especially if you're going through a tough time. And to anybody that is going through a negative, suicidal, or like feeling like life is over, and your life barely has even begun, right? What would you say, Brittany? Like, what is the first, just in a quick, you know, tidbit here, what would you say for anybody that's struggling with suicide right now?
I would say reach out to an adult, a trusted adult in your life. And some people may be like, well, I don't have a trusted adult in my life. Well, I'm going to give you a number right now that you can call. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 1-800-273-TALK. And kids nowadays don't have the old number. So let me get you the actual number, but it's 1-800-273 and TALK. I'll have to look up the actual, or maybe you guys can put it on the screen for us.
Yeah, we can put it on the screen.
Your team can put it on the screen, right?
We can do that.
Yeah, so if you feel like there's nobody in my life, I can't go to my parents or I can't go to anybody at school because we're not physically in school, call that number and reach out to an adult, and they will make sure that they navigate you to someone in your that can get you the support that you need. But if you have any adults in your life, even older siblings or cousins or something like that, reach out to an adult, let them know what you're feeling. And I want you to know, like Pastor Chad said, your life has not even begun yet. This is not the end, this is only the beginning. And what you're experiencing is just a hurdle. And once you come over that hurdle, it's going to become a testimony that you can use to help other peers and other teens your age know that, hey, I went through that too, and I got over it with the help of God, with the help of a trusted adult in my life.
I love it. That's so powerful. So we're not meant to do this alone, right?
No.
Not meant. And even at our age, you know,
yes,
we get low, and you know, life happens to everybody, guys, and it keeps on happening. And so it's so important. The reason we want to do this session, and I asked Brittany to come on, is because it's so important to me that you all learn at a young age to cope with life in a healthy way. You know, that's why there's so many drug addicts. That's why there's so many people in prison and so many people that made horrible decisions that maybe they hurt somebody and they're spending the rest of their life locked up. And it goes back to our lack of coping skills, right? Yeah. And so learning to do that at this age, because guys, life is going to keep happening, but God is good and life is an amazing journey of ups and downs, but we learn all the way through it. And so we believe in you.
I would even say one more thing.
Yeah, please.
I would even say, like, it's okay to go to therapy. We want to start dispelling the myth that therapy is for crazy people. I'm a therapist, and guess what, guys? I have a therapist. I go to therapy every 2 weeks, not because something is wrong, not because I'm in the middle of a crisis, but because I want a safe place to process life. Just sometimes things happen. I get upset or I'm confused about something, or maybe someone in my life has passed away, and I just have that as a safe place where I can go process and talk about those things. And I think it's important if you guys develop that as teens. And I'm sure, ask your parents, say, hey, you know, I want to go talk to a therapist. I want to talk to a counselor. Maybe reach out to you. That's a safe place where you can just go and let it all out and know you're not crazy because you want to talk to somebody or sometimes need to talk to somebody. Like I said, I'm a therapist and I have a therapist. So I would actually encourage you guys to seek counseling. Use that as a resource.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Such great advice, Brittany. Thank you so much for your time. I've asked every single guest that has come on all of our EYL sessions, our Elevate Your Life sessions, to just off the top of your head, off the top of your dome, give us, what does unity mean to you, Brittany?
To me, unity means togetherness, being together despite our differences, but coming together around the things that we have in common. We do have many differences, but if we focus on what we have in common, I think that we can come together and make this world a better place.
Amen. That's awesome. That's great. Brittany, thank you so much for your time. We love you and we appreciate you. Guys, we appreciate Brittany Phillips, and she's giving you some wonderful resources. This EYL session is for you. Let's be healthy. Let's do this together. Camp Elevate Unity 2020. We're out.
Peace.
Yo, I hope that y'all had a good time in that EYL session. But right now, we got some games happening right now. Everybody say, right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
On IG Live. But you got to be following us. Follow us. Elevate INT. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Don't make me clench my teeth.
Wait, hold on. Let me tell them. There's some dope prizes, y'all.
We giving away a Tesla.
Stop. Okay. We'll see you
Not
on
a real
live.
Tesla.
We will see you on live.
IG Live.
Peace.
IG Live.